girl in a Barbie world. It's fantastic. Made of plastic.
Joe. Hey, Joe. Dude, shut the fuck up. We're going to start.
Dude, Joe, it's
my
recording
God.
day. What's going on up there?
My bad. Barbie girl
Hi, Chris.
always gets me.
Hey,
Alrighty.
Talon. Hi, Chris. Hey, high five.
Talon.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
like you, Chris.
Nice.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now that that's out of the way, it's lessons learned, guys. What's going on? Randy here today with Chris, Joe, and Talon. Jared had some prior commitment, so we're pushing on without him, and we're going to be talking. So this was, I guess, his professional failure that he wasn't able to be here today, and that's what we're going to be talking about is professional
There you go.
failures and how to deal with them. So, Chris, why don't you tell us how to deal with some professional failures?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Martin Brodeur. Yeah,
He didn't
the
have a lot
GOAT.
of professional
Look him up.
failures. Yeah.
He did not have any professional failures. In fact,
No.
he had anti-professional failures.
Yeah. But facts.
Professional failures. We're talking, like, you ever apply for a raise and not get it, Randy?
Mm.
Or, just not get a big enough raise.
Mm.
Or apply for a promotion, not get it. Or, think you're like stellar performer and then someone says you're not. And it's like, oh, we're going to talk about how to overcome that this week. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be heartfelt because it's fresh. It's fresh for me. Happened
Fresh
last
wounds.
week. Yeah. So we're
It's
going to
just
talk
a
about
flesh
that.
wound.
So I'll go first, I guess, since it's fresh.
Fresh.
So I have not been flying for about a year because I've been the NIF, which means I can't fly. So I've been doing office work. Anyway, I go back to fly. First flight, not rusty at all. I thought I would be, not rusty, right? Like, know my job pretty well. Second flight, the guy I fly with, he knows his shit. Apparently I did not. This man, at the end of the flight, he looks at me and he goes, "I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I expected more out of you." And I was like, dude, what the fuck?
That hurts more than any kind of anger could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be like, I'd rather you tell me, like, dude, you suck. Like, you know this. Like, you just suck right now. Like, are you forgetting it? Like, what's going on? Instead of just like, dude, I'm disappointed, man. Like, that's like your
That's
father
tough.
just not being proud of you your entire life.
Yeah.
That's like
Like,
that's personal at that point. That's
It is,
that
right.
person just being disappointed. Yeah.
It is. That shit
That's like if
hurt.
somebody
And I
tells
was
you you
like,
suck, you
damn.
can kind of be like, oh, whatever, screw you. If somebody says they're disappointed, it's like, oh,
That means
Yeah.
like they
my
actually like
chest.
they really thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit, it hurted. That's one thing. Another thing is I applied for OTS. That's why I don't really care about because my whole mindset changed. But I applied for OTS and, I thought I had a pretty strong package, which OTS is to become an officer in the Air Force. I want to be a pilot for the longest time, and I didn't get it. But the thing is, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. And then, guys, the story I was talking about before the podcast, it was about that. I did it. I
Oh.
remembered.
That's it.
But yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. Like, I didn't get picked up. And that's what this is all about, right? It's all kind of a blessing in disguise. Like, you got to take this information and just run with it. Like, own it. If someone says they're disappointed in me, I'm going to study more. Like, I'm going to, work to prove to my dad that he should be proud of me.
Uncle Fred.
You don't know what you don't know, so he told you that
Yeah.
you don't know these things, so now you can work on that.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's my personal story, and how I plan on overcoming it. Just, studying, hitting the books, really going above and beyond, and like not really letting that get to me. Like, even if they thought I'd be better, I know where I'm at and I know what I'm comfortable with, and like I think I'm better than some people. Maybe not the best, but try to strive to be the best, and you'll get there. How about
The
you guys?
question is,
What are your
hold on, I got one
experiences?
question for you. Have
Yeah,
you
go
been
ahead.
actually studying more, or have you been hitting the foos?
Whose is more important?
Who's his
Foos
life?
is life.
Can you be what's more important, being the best at your job or being the best at foos in the office?
Foosball champion right here.
Foos
Exactly.
in the office,
Foosball god.
100%. That's going to go way further on any resume
It's
Yeah,
priorities.
foos.
than being an officer. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is facts.
Get it right. Anyway, what about you guys? I know, Randy, let's talk about that You were pretty passionate about this. Also, one other thing for professional failures is we already tried to record this episode once, like last week and 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It failed.
That was a
big time.
big
It was a
professional failure on
huge-
all of our parts.
It was a ball of fire. It was just hot garbage, dog water.
It was
just-
mainly me, so my computer just decided to just turn off on me just randomly. It said,
and
now we're gonna give up today.
It just snowballed
and-
from there.
Yeah, and then I just rage quit, and it was just not good.
Yeah.
But here we are.
But
Yep.
Randy, let's talk about
yeah.
that.
So I had almost what I would call like a moment of realization in the last couple weeks, in particular at my job. But a lot of the stuff that I was kind of blaming on others, I realize is kind of more my fault. I mean, on one hand, here's the way I see it. People kind of pulled the wool over my eyes about stuff, but the way I see it too is I let them
Pulled the wool over your eyes?
Yeah,
I
you
was
never
gonna
heard
say
that
that.
expression?
I've never heard that.
Really? You know what it
Yeah.
What are
means?
you, 75 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You've never heard
Go
that?
on.
Talon, can you back me up on that one?
I've never heard of it. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Big
3v1.
old rips.
All right, so apparently nobody knows. If you don't know what that means, it means that like basically they kind of, I don't know, they pulled the wool over your.
You don't even know what it means.
I know what it means. It kind of means they
It
tricked you.
fit.
Okay.
That's
go on.
that's not really a great word for it, but like they in a clever way tricked you.
Gotcha.
And that's something I've kind of dealt with. I would say over the last 10 years throughout the various jobs I've had, where I've kind of let people's kind of clever word play and, you know, oh, it's going to get better. We're going to do this. And I kind of let that slide, and I kind of let that almost like give me hope for stuff that like I really should have known in the back of my mind was never going to happen unless I really pursued it. And that's why I view it as like my failure with that kind of stuff. Another one recently was I asked for, we get annual raises every year. I asked for a higher raise. And they did the same thing, like clever word choice. They said, oh, we're giving you a 4% raise. It's the highest raise of anybody in the office. So like, you know, on the face of that looks great. That sounds awesome. It's like, oh, cool. I'm getting like, oh, wow, I'm getting the highest raise percentage-wise of anybody in the office. But then when I think about it, and granted, like I do have a lower position than a lot of my other coworkers, so I'm not complaining about that. But at the end of the day, if I get a 4% raise and my other coworkers get 2% raises, they're still all getting higher raises than I'm getting. Because they all make
Dollar-wise.
more money. Yeah, dollar-wise.
dollar-wise.
They're still making,
Gotcha.
they're still getting more than I'm getting. So like that's frustrating when I went in and I asked like specifically for a higher raise, but, and this is something that we talked about and something that Chris had said, was I didn't ask for like a specific number. I just said, I want a higher raise. Like I would like a couple dollars more, but like, and that's kind of what annoys me too, is what my raise ended up being didn't even equate to dollars. It was really just cents. But what, you know, Chris said, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is I should have went in and said, I want X amount as my raise.
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
or
I
like
said
even, like I'm pretty sure, it was definitely me, dickhead, but whatever.
It's definitely me.
But it sets the standard, you know, like say I want a $2 raise. I think I'm worth a $2 raise, especially since I'm doing the work of two people and I'm saving you X amount by not having to hire somebody else, even though you know you should.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so real quick, that was a part I left out. When I had this conversation with my boss, we were kind of short-staffed, and I had asked him, are we going to be hiring another tech? And he said no. And I said, okay, well then in that case, I think I should be making more money than what I'm making because I'm doing the work of two people.
Yeah. And so going in to a meeting with that person and asking for a raise of like, I'm saving you, what do you, like, for example, say $10 an hour. You don't have to pay someone $10 an hour to do more work. I'm doing the work. I would like $4 an hour extra since I'm saving you 10, you know?
It's still
You're
saving
still
saving
60% of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And then worst case, they say we can't do 4, we'll give you 1. And then you go back into the you know, the
Bartering.
heckling about it. Yeah. And you settle on 2 or 3. And that's where you're happy, you know? But like having that specific number and like that research behind it
Right.
probably would help a lot when it comes to asking for raises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, oh, go ahead, Talon. If it's something about
Yeah,
that, 'cause I had
because-
one other point I want to make.
If you go into the conversation like that, you can't leave the meeting with your boss being like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you like the raise and or whatever." Like what did end up happening? You either they kind of agree to it or they disagree to it. So you're not left in the dark questioning what's actually going to happen. You're leaving that meeting knowing what the outcome's going to be, and you don't have to wait like months down the road to find
Yeah.
out that it's just a 4% raise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was one thing. And then I would say the other kind of professional failure I've had, and this is also something that's kind of jumped from like job to job for me, is I tend to go above and beyond too much. And now what I mean by that, and I wouldn't ever discourage anyone from working harder or doing extra, but there's a point where you go from doing extra to your extra becoming the normal, and then that's not okay, because then when your extra becomes the normal, you're doing extra work and you're not getting any kind of extra compensation for it.
Right.
And that's kind of a problem that I've had from job to job, where like I always say yes when they need extra hours covered, or I do extra work, I go above and beyond with stuff, and then it goes from being like, oh, hey, thanks for doing that, that was great, to just like what's expected of me. And then if that's what's expected of me and I'm not getting any extra for it, that's a problem.
Yeah, and like
Yes.
the one day you don't do it, it's like, dude, what the heck?
That's
Yeah.
when they're disappointed in you.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Right.
You
That
gotta know
hurt,
what
dude.
your
That
worth
was-
is.
that was a low blow.
Exactly.
Sorry about that.
That was actually, I had that in my notes, Joe. I had know your worth in my notes.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm reading your brain.
Joey cheated because he
Scary.
remembered from last week.
No.
I'm remembering a lot from last week, including my
Ah,
story
nice.
to help him feel better, which I know it doesn't. But it is a professional failure, so if you mind if I talk about it real quick?
Go ahead.
All right, yeah. So similar, I guess similar scenario with Randy is back when I worked at a grocery store back in the day before the Air Force. I was a solid worker. I think I always put in the effort, and I got rewarded. I got promoted, and to a department assistant manager, and then I ended up getting promoted to the department manager, right? And so I talked to my store manager, and the guy's like, yeah, we're going to give you a raise. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was going to be $13 an hour from, I believe, 10, somewhere in that range. And I'm like, all right, sweet. And I think just slightly before or slightly after, I told him that my plan was to join the Air Force. I didn't expect to be around too much longer. Trying to be a nice person and try to give him time to at least have a backup in mind for when I leave, right?
Doing the
And
right
I paid
thing.
the consequence. Yeah, exactly, right? And I paid the consequence for that. So when I was doing my taxes, I kind of looked at my pay stubs because I never did. I just trusted them. And I found out I was getting paid, I think it was like $11 or $11.25, like over $1.50 less than what they said it was going to be. And I was like, oh my God. So
Damn.
I did confront him about that. And I'm like, hey, what happened? You said I was going to be making 13. He's like, oh, I talked to corporate and they're like, oh, we know you're leaving. So they decided it wasn't the best option. I'm like, really? And you're not even going to relay the information to me? So,
Damn.
lesson learned right there. Always
Oh,
kind of,
did
He
the
did
thing.
it. He did the
yeah, big lesson learned. So for anyone else who expects like a similar scenario, if you plan to leave somewhere and you tell them, make sure you're getting paid the right dollar amount. Make sure you're always checking. I learned a hard lesson.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good for even in the military, man. Like, check your pay, because I didn't
Oh,
get paid.
Chris, you have all kinds
Dude,
of.
Oh,
Dude,
It's all the time.
unreal. Off at finance, like, fix yourself, please. I don't even care. I'm outing you to the internet.
Yeah, you're calling
fix
them out.
yourself.
Jeez.
It's
interwebs.
horrible. Everybody has issues. I mean,
oof.
you guys might do a lot of work. I appreciate you, but fix yourself. Thank you.
Finance.
Nice.
Those
Yeah,
clowns.
dude,
think-
that's a mess, dude. And that's like a moral code that was
Yeah, that's
broken.
messed
Like
up.
that man's gonna tell you you're getting this much. Like gave you a specific number.
Dollar
and then
amount.
just doesn't
yep.
come through. I'd be pissed, man.
Yeah,
I was-
I think
oh,
the
I
only
was
mistake
so
you
heated.
made in that scenario was that you weren't checking your pay stubs.
Yeah, that's just
Yes,
on
Because you did the right thing in telling them ahead of time. You absolutely should have done that. And they went back and they did something that they should not have done. So really, you didn't do anything wrong short of not checking your pay stubs. But that brings up a good point: is always check and make sure you're getting what you're supposed to be getting.
No.
Exactly.
Even when someone says you're disappointed in them and like in you, I mean, you're still getting the same pay. You should check your pay, dude. That hurts, man. Like my heart hurts.
I feel that, dude. I feel that.
But you know what? I think before we jump to Talon real quick, I think it's really important that everybody, if you make a mistake like that, as long as you learn from it, like that's what I said. Like I did this for 10 years. I did 10 years of screwing around and like doing extra work for no extra pay and doing all this extra crap and not getting anything for it. And I would say I should have learned from that a lot sooner than I did. And that is my biggest mistake as far as this topic goes. So I think as long as you learn from your mistakes and like you see the forest for the trees and kind of like see what's happening and don't let the wool get pulled over your eyes.
The what? The forest for the trees?
Yeah, dude, this man's walking around with like a walker and a bum knee, metal hip over here.
What are these analogies?
Sorry, I have more wisdom than you guys. I mean,
Apparently.
Yeah. No,
So
that is a solid point.
So
let's talk about Talon.
I kind of want to call out your lesson real fast though, Randy. So yes, it's a lesson on your part, not to like know what you're worth and everything like that. But let it also be a lesson to employers and leaders in general. Know what your people are worth. Like, because it's not, it shouldn't be on you. Your employer should know the expectations for like the general expectations for like your career position. When they have someone like you that's exceeding that and that they are meeting that position for two people, they should not just come to like, they should not just like raise that bar and be like, hey, I guess now we don't need to hire someone else because like, look, this one guy can handle it all. Yeah, we don't need to hire someone else. But the only reason why they're in that position is because it's you. It's not like if they don't give you a raise, they risk the chance of you just wanting to quit at that point, and then they'll hire someone else, and that person's not going to be able to meet that expectations that you brought to the table. And guess what? Right. Now they're just going to have to hire that second person in the end anyways. So it would have just saved you, it would have saved them if they just tried a little bit harder to make you happy and to know what you're worth. As an employer, they need to understand that. This is a little bit
of a tangent, and so I'm going to be really brief about it, but it kind of falls into that same point, is we have a real problem with like when you have a good employee and then you have a couple of bad employees, and then the bad employees don't get any kind of reprimand or they don't get fired or anything because it's too difficult to actually fire somebody anymore. And then you end up just putting more work on the good worker who doesn't get anything extra for it, and all they end up with is more work, and then they're surprised when they quit. Like, no, that's like maintenance.
That's like the Air Force as a whole, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just the workforce. I feel like it's just the workforce as a whole. Like, we have a really big problem. Like, and I know a lot of it is just because of the way things just have become anymore. It's like, it's impossible to fire somebody.
I don't think that. I think it's just, no, you have to hold people accountable, and people might be afraid to do that in certain jobs.
I think it's a lot of jobs. Yeah.
People are being too sensitive, I think.
And that's the golden, that's, like good companies do that. And people, I know a lot of jobs, like I read a lot of books where people like love the company they work for because of the empathy. They hold people accountable. Like it's good leadership. It all comes down to leadership, really.
Yeah.
Like who's running the company, who's making decisions. And that's honestly, but it's also on you to hold yourself accountable. Like that's what this episode is about. Because we don't want to go on a tangent here, but hold yourself accountable. So like if someone tells you they're disappointed, clearly you're not meeting their standard. Get there. Get to that standard. Don't give them a reason. And then maybe that sets you apart from everyone else, So when it comes time for that raise, it'd be like, oh, this guy fixed himself. This guy's killing it now. And now you're up for that raise. So Talon, let's hear from you. What's your quote unquote professional failure?
Yeah, so we had an entire episode on losing passion, and I have definitely fallen into that. And it's basically it's honestly kind of a trap, because at this point, so my biggest professional failure is that I lost my passion and I know it. And because of that, honestly, like, my work has gone down just in general. And the sad truth is that I did it to myself. So I mean, I do have that 3-year commitment still, and losing that passion, I still have to hold myself accountable, because I still have 3 years. And now in my current career field, now I'm also considered a leader. I'm a supervisor, so I need to hold myself accountable to hold my airmen accountable too. So in the past, like, I don't know, year, my work has gone down, and I know that. I noticed that myself. No one outside of me has really like said anything, but I know myself. Because like this past week, heck, we had like our quarterly award bullets and stuff like that too. I treated it like a chore. I'm just like, oh god, I have to do these bullets and stuff like that. Like, just a couple years ago, I would have my bullets ready like weeks ahead of time, and like I'm like ready to go. I'm like, yeah, just got to get this quarterly awards. It's like, that's just one more EPR bullet I don't have to worry about and everything. But yeah, the past year, like little tiny like chores and tasks like that, it just eats me away. Or just like going into work and just doing little tasks, I'm just like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I spending so much time doing this? And the truth is, yeah, I'd rather be doing something different, but at the same time, I'm here now. I'm going to still be here in the next couple of years. I need to put the time and energy into doing my everyday tasks, whether no matter what it is, because in truth, that's just how you're going to succeed in life. Like, yeah, this career isn't something that I want to keep doing long term or anything like that. So there's not a big reason, like, realistically, there's not a big reason for me to want to exceed, like, or be better than other people, other than that intrinsic, hey, bringing it up to another episode, that intrinsic motivation of me just wanting to be the best me. So yeah, that's my biggest lesson right there. That's my biggest professional failure, is that I've become, I don't like using this word because it's so military, but I become complacent. I become so complacent in like my day-to-day work and professional life, and it just drives me crazy, because if I run into this issue now, like, I mean, in truth, like, I'm gonna run into it again, and I need to switch the flip on this. Flip the switch.
Hey,
switch the flip.
Talon.
So I just need to change my mindset, and I need to just like put my all in no matter what I'm doing. Yes, I can still focus on everything else that I want to. I mean, my goal is, if my goal is a different career, yes, I'm still gonna focus on those other career paths. I'm still going to go get my degree. I'm still going to do my certifications. I'm still going to do what I want to do. But I should put my all. I should put my 100% everything that I'm doing. I shouldn't treat everything like it's just a chore. I shouldn't treat it like it's just some annoyance to me. So just have a different mindset, especially when a lot of things aren't in your control. Like, I know both Chris and I, we're not exactly like happy with the place that we're at, but we can control what we can control. And there's other things, such as like the people that we work with and everything. We can't control that. We can't let it get to us or anything like that. So that's my biggest lesson about my professional failure of losing my passion, which isn't really a failure in itself, but don't let that get to you. That's a lesson right there.
It can lead to a lot of failures, right? If you don't do your job, you can get in trouble. You could lose rank. You could lose money. You could get demoted, and for the civilian terms, I guess, military too. But yeah, that's, dude, stellar point. Stellar. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
and I think you nailed it when you said, like, you still got to give it your all, because you also don't want to burn bridges. Like, the military is a great, excellent, number one place to network, for me at least. I've met so many people across the world, not just the country or the world.
I concur.
You don't want to burn bridges. You never know if, like, say I didn't know Talon, say I met him in a year, and he met me while I was slacking at my job because I didn't want to do it anymore. And then you found out you're like great friends, like you have all the same interests, but he knows you as a slacker. Like, he's not going to want to work with you outside of the Air Force. Like, you just burn a bridge, So you don't want to do that. You always want to give it your all so people know what you're worth. It's about knowing your worth. Other people will know your worth too.
Right.
That's facts.
I really feel that same thing, like what Talon's feeling, because, as we've talked about, I lost my passion for my job as well. The difference for me is I can actually do something about it. Talon has a 3-year commitment, so he's kind of stuck. I can do something about my situation. And that's what I'm doing now, and I'm looking into other options because now I do want out. And I will say that, much like Talon, my work has slipped a lot, in these last couple months since I kind of made this realization. But I still do good work. I still get all my work done. I might not go above and beyond as much as I did in the past, but I do still make sure I come in every day and I get my work done because, at the end of the day, you have to do it. You're stuck there for the time being. Like even though I'm not technically stuck, I am stuck there until I do find something else. So if I'm stuck there, I still have to do my best work and I still have to make the best of it. So, that's an important point.
That's like the number one point, I guess.
Yeah.
Because just like if someone's disappointed in me, right? I'm still there. I still got to do the work. If I didn't make OTS, I don't get promoted. I'm still there. I still got to do work,
Yep.
Go above and beyond, like work harder, get that promotion, earn that shit. Set yourself above your peers. I know it's very like easy to say and like, oh, like stand out. Yeah, shut up. I get that. But
much easier.
It's
said than
true.
done.
It is true though. Like you need to grind. If you really just want extra money and you want a promotion, but you don't like your job, grind. Do
That's
the
where
work.
I'm at.
Do the work, dude. You'll get the raise. Like if you start killing it at work and be like, hey man, I'll be honest with you, when I got the 40-cent raise, it really set me back. Like I thought I did not appreciate that. So here's what I'm doing. If you haven't noticed, I've been killing it lately. I really think I'm worth more than that raise. Here's the number I expected originally. And I think my work has now proved that I am worth this, if you didn't see that before.
Yeah.
At the very
I think
least, do it for yourself. Like, your boss might not end up giving you that raise, but heck, you told them about it. You told them that it's not making you happy. You get that off your chest, or like you put in a lot of work, and maybe that person that's disappointed in you, maybe they're still disappointed in you. Who cares? But you put in that work, and that you know that you bettered yourself. And at the very least, at the end of the day, you can leave your job, your professional life, feeling happy, knowing what you did.
Yeah,
And
you might not ever be the best, but as long as you're trying the best you can, that's all that matters in life, not just professionally.
Yeah. And another thing too, and this is something that I've done recently, like if you're not happy with aspects of your job, say something. Like that was another kind of I forgot to mention that earlier when I spoke. That was kind of another, I guess, professional failure of mine, was just kind of like letting stuff go that I either wasn't happy about or felt shouldn't have been happening. And something that I've done about that in this past week was I actually did sit down with my boss, and I went back to him, and I honestly was very blunt about it, and I said, I'm not happy about these things, and we need to do something to change it. And the meeting actually went really well, and I think he kind of respected that I came in and I didn't beat around the bush, and I just said, these things are not okay, these things need to change.
And I've been telling you that since day one. When what was it, your CEO or somebody came in, and I was like, dude, send the man an email. He asked you what you thought. Like, that is your perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned this entire year is speak your mind. Don't be a dick about it, but get your point across professionally.
Right.
It goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
You don't be a dick, but you have to be firm about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't just be like, well, I think, and like, no, say, I want these things changed.
Yeah.
And that's what I went in the meeting and said. And we'll see what happens. That meeting happened on Wednesday, so it's only been 3 days. But we'll see. Things might change, things might not. We'll know in the coming weeks if what I said, took hold.
I think that's another example of a failure right there. Is if given the opportunity to give feedback, and if you aren't happy with something in your workplace, and like your boss literally asks you, it's like, hey, how do you feel about these things? And you don't tell them, because I know I've done it. I mean, the Air Force, our squadron, for example, we get little feedback forms and surveys like throughout the entire year. Sometimes, I mean, I look at it in like email, I'm just like, I don't want to do it right now, and I just don't end up doing it. But hey, if I'm not happy with something, your bosses don't know what they don't know. They're not in the same position as you. They don't know what you're dealing with, or like what issues you're dealing with. So when given the chance to give feedback, especially when they're asking for it, give them that feedback. It's just
Right.
going to better your life and the life of other people down the road. Yeah, they might not take it, like they might not actually do anything, but heck, I mean, maybe next year, like 5 other people, 10 other people, more people keep giving that feedback. At some point, they're going to have to change something. So at least give it to them.
That's how to help
Yeah.
organizations as a whole. Like that's so important. I've realized a lot of stuff about like running a business / company. A lot of reading. Books will teach you so much. So, we did a whole
Yeah.
episode on books. Speaking of books, Randy.
Wait, hold on. Well, this is what I was gonna say. I want to make a point real quick because I want to say my next step in the plan if I don't get what I want from my boss. I was gonna say I'm gonna hit him with a book,
Ooh.
and I was gonna ask you guys if you thought that was a good idea.
I don't think
Are
so.
we talking about like physically hitting him with a book?
Yes, physically
Or
hitting him with a book.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, we'll see. So here's what I was thinking. If I don't want to hit him with a book, the best way to do that is to not have books around.
Hmm.
And if I don't have books around, then how am I going to read books? Well, guess what? If you click the link below in the description, you can download Audible free for 30 days. And then if you're really worried you're going to hit somebody with a book, then you can just throw all your books away. And then you can listen to your books and not hit anybody with a book and not get an assault charge and still be able to, I guess, quote unquote read, even though you'll be listening, but it's fine.
Yeah,
There
that's
you go.
that's how to keep yourself from having these professional failures. It's a
Yeah.
failure to hit your boss with a book. Protect yourself
100%.
from that. This is a lesson from lessons learned.
That might have been my favorite one yet.
Oh my god.
That's awesome. Anyway, click
I
the
love
link.
this.
See what you
Yeah,
think.
click the link. Hey,
Uh,
Joe. Are you
Huh?
alive, Joe?
I'm alive.
Okay.
I'm just not reading still.
I was just making sure. Okay.
Yeah. Some good books about that though. We were being serious before that whole segue was great. But Power of Moments was a great book. I know Ramsey's recommended that before. And Leaders Eat Last. Simon Sinek, like he's a Facebook god, not a Facebook god. But he's just a god amongst men. Read his books. There's a lot of memes that came out like just because you read one Simon Sinek book, like you think you're smart. Like it was funny. I felt personally attacked, but
Chris.
his books are great. They teach you a lot, and knowing, like setting up an organization with clear communication, and like people speak their mind, goes so far. Both employee and employer, right? If someone come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm not happy with this. I feel like you're failing in this aspect," that's still a professional failure if you're the employer. You're not setting a good environment for this employee.
Or a clear outline.
Right. So, I mean, granted, that could be a one-off. Maybe it's just the employee doesn't fit. But it's worth listening to and worth looking into.
You only
You know,
find
my
out the
shop
employee
chief-
doesn't fit if you give them the outline, they don't adhere to it.
Right. Yeah.
My shop chief at work, it's actually I believe he took some consideration in from, I don't know if he listened to feedback or what, but he actually started putting out award packages to boost morale. We just had a briefing about this I think yesterday, and so he just gave out like the first award package in our shop like 2 days ago. And like we're maintainers, like we don't see any awards, we don't see any recognition or anything for what we do.
What do you mean?
So, I'm sure you don't realize it, but because you're a flyer, but like maintainers, like dude, we don't get like jack shit for like if you're going above and beyond with anything that you do, we don't get awards, we don't get any kind of I don't know, recommendations written for us or anything like that.
I bet you do. I bet you just don't know about it.
No.
I
Your
guarantee.
squadron doesn't
I
do, like, quarterly
guarantee.
awards or anything like that.
I guarantee
I-
there's something set in place and they're just not doing it.
That or so if there is, the squadron is so large that it's such a small handful of people, which I mean, of course you
Well,
gotta
yeah.
be, you want to be the best of the best, but when there's thousands of people and like only 4 people get an award, it's like all the other people who are still at least excelling, they don't see anything.
That is a good
So-
point.
Yeah, so he's trying to do something. I guess he got the feedback. He's trying to at least boost some kind of award packages, because I have not seen a damn thing in my shop for the past 2 years that I've been there. So this is the first that I'm seeing anything of it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I know we get
Yep.
we get awards quarterly and all that shit. It's a hassle. It could be a chore sometimes if you don't want to do it. But honestly, it feels kind of good when you do get that. And then it's just another bullet for your EPR at the end of the year. So it is nice. But
Yep.
I mean, that's a good point, Joe, is like be aware of your people, be aware of the work they're doing, so they don't fail professionally. We're kind of getting in like the employer mindset now too, which I kind of enjoy.
The
Yeah.
topic's
But-
professional failures, so
Yeah,
it doesn't say anything
exactly.
that it has to be just us.
Yeah.
That
is
stops at the
true.
top.
So what's
That's-
your story, Joe?
My story actually kind of goes back about 3 years ago now. When I was joining the Air Force and how I got to where I am. So
Mm.
I guess I'll just tell the whole story on it. Yeah, because you were on the ride with me through this whole, I don't know what you would call it, debacle. There it is, not debauchery.
Debacle.
Debauchery.
Debacle.
It could be
Debauchery.
debauchery. I mean, they did fist them pretty
Yeah.
hard.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
Oh, man.
I'll start from the beginning. I went to join the Air Force as I said, and as where I am, and talked to the recruiter. Went through all the MEPS and all the other stuff like that. And time came to where I had to pick a job of where I wanted to go, and I listed down. So I failed the depth perception test, which disqualified me from a few flying jobs. But I'm like, you know what? And then I looked up, how to pass it, because there's actually a few tricks, and I'm like, damn, I could have passed. And so I went back to my eye doctor. They said, no, your depth perception is perfect. DOD says no retakes though, so I'm like, well, now I'm still disqualified. First professional failure there is not looking into it. So next up, so I'm like, all right, so I listed about 8 jobs that I would have preferred, and we sent that up. Like, none of them came back, none of them are available. But he's like, oh, well, you got open mechanical, so you're available to get any maintenance job in the Air Force. And so I'm talking to Chris. Talking to Chris throughout this entire thing, and he's like, nah, don't sign it. Don't sign the contract. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to. So I did. I said, hey, don't feel comfortable with this. I'm going to walk away from now and, think about it. And so recruiter texts me. He's like, hey, you have 24 hours to, give an answer of what you want to do. So come back. I'm like, hey, I want to talk to your flight chief, because I do not want to sign this contract to join maintenance, as per what Chris said here. So we did that. We go talk to the flight chief, and he pretty much gives me the whole spiel that the recruiter gave me. He's like, oh, well, you're going to have to sign this, or if you don't, we're going to red X you, and no recruiters are going to want to work with you to join the Air Force. I'm like,
Which is a lie.
what? Which, from everyone I talked to, is a lie. And I texted a few other recruiters, and they were kind of iffy with it. Some of them were like, sounds kind of right, but I don't know. So they're like, yeah, well, we're going to red X you, and you're not going to really be able to join the Air Force because no recruiters are going to want to work with you. I'm like, well, so from hearing that, I'm like, well, I really only have one option here, because I want to be in the Air Force more than I don't want that job. And I'm like, I know there's ways out of it. So they're like, what we can do is we can give you, if anything pops up between now and when you ship out, we can tell you, and you can switch jobs. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. I got about a month and a half. So did that, signed the contract, I think. And ship date was coming up. One job came up in the meantime. It was a computer job. I'm like, nah, I don't want it. And now I'm here. We're in the good old maintenance world.
In Dover, Delaware.
Right
In
back
Dover,
home.
Delaware, back home. I'm like, well, I just took a huge L. So,
F's in the chat.
yeah. So that is a big professional failure on my part. I don't know what I could have done better, maybe done more research, or maybe just said screw it and say no. But again, I just kind of wanted to get into the Air Force and out of, where I am. So,
I'll tell you what I did is I talked to the recruiter there. I didn't like him.
my
I
guy?
moved to New Jersey.
your guy.
There's a whole backstory I'm not going to get into, but I moved to New Jersey then for the summer and talked to a guy out of New York State. And I was like, that's exactly what you could have done too. If they said, we're going to red X, you'd be like, okay, dude, have fun with that. And then just gone 2 states up and like you're starting fresh.
Yeah. That's
So
definitely what I
that's
should have
exactly what I did, and it worked out in my favor.
Yeah, but the way that they worded it, they really strong armed you because they're like, yeah, we're gonna red X you. No recruiter will want to work with you. It's like,
Yep.
So
Kinda-
you're gonna
kinda like
deny-
what Randy was talking about.
Yeah, you're going to deny someone to join the Air Force when you really need people to join the Air Force. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your lesson out of that?
So the lesson is I could have done more. Pretty much what you said is just said screw it. Kind of, I don't know if I could have looked more into it. I thought I was doing enough research on it, but I guess I didn't, and I should have just said screw it. And again, as you said, gone to a different recruiter because now I'm in a career field which it's not the worst, but I know I don't excel at this. Like it's not my forte. It's not what I like to do. I've talked about this. I think my opinion's pretty strong on it. Like I do not like maintenance, and most people in the career field don't.
Yeah.
They have very bad retention for such reasons. So
You want to know a professional failure from the employer standpoint?
what's that?
Let's take all these people who hate their job and not let them cross train. Like what
Yes.
the fuck?
That's how. Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
That's exactly why they're critically manned because they all just get out at that point. That's the ultimate failure.
It's like
Exactly.
damn,
And you know
all
what else
these
they
guys are
did?
getting out because they're not happy with their job. More restrictions.
You know what else they did?
Exactly.
They put them in there, they put them in that career field, even though they didn't want to go in that career field to begin with.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yep.
Stupid.
There used to be re-sign bonuses for us too. That went away.
yeah.
Away.
I mean, that's something
Yeah.
that
That was a few
that's
years ago.
something that would keep people in. More
I
money.
used to get
Exactly.
bonuses too.
Okay.
That got taken away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, but you could have done
But
more
yeah, so I'm
research,
trying to get-
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to either cross train or I got to get my bachelor's. Try to go to OTS like Chris did. There's a few ways out, and I don't know. Maybe if AMC keeps exploding, I'll just get enough money to get out.
There you go.
Just retire.
Yeah, I would say
Island.
for anyone that's like going through the same thing that Joe did, you run into like if you are trying to join the Air Force or any branch, and like you run into a recruiter like that's really trying to strong arm you into like a certain career or something like that. I don't know. I would just call, like, do what Chris did. Like, you maybe you didn't move to move somewhere so you can actually go see that recruiter. But heck, give them a call. Be like, hey, is this normal? Like, they're telling me this. Like, is this true? Like, it doesn't hurt. There's multiple recruiters in every single state. Just Google it and just call that number and just get a little bit more information about it.
Better
Because-
yet,
Yep.
start fresh. Go find a different recruiter, even maybe the next town over.
Yeah.
And be like, hey man, I'm thinking about joining the Air Force.
Don't
Just
even
start
don't
over,
even
dude.
tell them that.
Start
they'll
over.
probably
That's
see
what
that-
I did. That's what
Oh.
I did. I didn't tell the second when I was in the works with someone already. I just started
Big
over.
brains.
But
That's
my
hilarious.
question is, when is like stuff like your
Forget
ASVAB score and everything like are not already loaded? Like, would they not see that you already did
it
all
should
this?
be.
You took a test. Congrats. It's on your record.
Yeah, that's true.
You went to MEPS already?
I think it
Okay,
lasts
cool.
2
Like, what
years.
happened? Oh, I don't know. Here I am. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's go.
Nah.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I
do you
mean,
mean?
they won't complain. It's less work for them, honestly, because like
Yeah.
if they ask, it's like so you worked with another recruiter before, but just be like, yeah, I just live closer to you or something like that. Just be like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just easier
exactly.
to come here, and it's
Yeah, or like, yeah, I didn't really get along with that guy. I didn't really trust him, so here I am.
they're
Boom.
not going to complain.
Yeah. So-
It helps
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
Exactly. If anyone here who's listening is planning to join the military soon, please reach out to us. I think, 4 of us have quite a substantial amount of knowledge of how this works. So please feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, that was research. What are the main points we hit on today? Research, know your worth, excel, give it your all, no matter what it is. Give it your all, right? Even with Joe, he's not happy. I mean, none of us are really content where we're at in our jobs. I did it, but you're there. Look, you're there. Reality.
putting in the
sets
effort.
in. I can't talk. Yeah, you can't change anything. You can change what you can control, like Talon said. Other than that, you're there. You got a contract to fulfill. Don't be a dirtbag. Don't burn bridges. You got this. Give it your all. Be the best that you can be, and that's not gonna fail you. That 100% will only make you better. Cool. Well, I guess since Rumsey's not here, I'm going to do the outro today. All right. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you please. Hit subscribe, notify, click the little bell. You'll get notifications when we post, every Monday. I hope you enjoy our episodes that do drop every Monday. We've got social links in the description. We've got our Amazon links in the description, which if you didn't know, Jared brought this point up to me. If you didn't know about the Amazon links, they're affiliate links. We have a microphone, the stand, and something else listed in our description. You don't have to buy those things. You can click that link and then just shop on Amazon, and it helps us out. So we appreciate that. Also, if you do decide you want to support the show, there's a Patreon account linked in the description below as well. We really appreciate your support, and we have seen significant growth lately. We just want to mention this. Thank you guys. This is incredible.
You guys are awesome.
It really keeps us going to not feel like we're failing professionally, and it feels good. So the more you guys help us, the more we can then in turn help you, and it's just a win-win. So from everyone here at Lessons Learned, thanks. We'll see you next week, and see ya.
See ya.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.